Welcome to WorldPoint's Vendor Spotlight, where we shine a light on the top innovators and industry leaders who are driving the future of training. Today, we're sitting down with Aeron Povey, Vice President of Marketing at Nasco Healthcare. Welcome, Aeron.
Thank you.
Nasco is a company that's been at the forefront of medical simulation and training for decades. WorldPoint and Nasco Healthcare have shared a strong strategic partnership for years, working together to deliver high-quality, realistic training tools to CPR, healthcare, and emergency response professionals. And today we'll hear more about Nasco's journey, their newest innovations like Alex Gen AI, and the latest Airway Larry trainer, and get a sneak peek at what's coming next. So with that said, let's dive in. To start, can you share the story behind Nasco Healthcare and what inspired its founding as a leader in medical simulation and training?
For sure. So Nasco actually didn't start out in healthcare at all. The roots are in agriculture, actually. Company's been around for around 85 years now.
Wow.
And when I was, asking some of the team to share some of the history of Nasco Healthcare with me, they shared some legacy PowerPoint presentations that were really interesting and included things like a house of arts and crafts, frog labs, farming. There's a whole robust, cool history behind Nasco Healthcare.
Oh my
when
goodness.
They got into the healthcare space was around 1999 when they acquired both Simulades and Lifeforms and brought that in under one brand, which would later become Nasco Healthcare. So sometimes we get some questions about that, like what's the difference with Lifeforms and Simulades, and those are sort of the roots of the healthcare side of the business. But even back then, the inspiration was very similar to what it is now, and it's about making accessible and affordable and durable healthcare solutions so healthcare professionals can be ready to save lives. And making sure that that's really accessible is something that's really important to us.
No, that's fantastic. I didn't know about some of that background, so thank you for
I
sharing.
didn't either until I needed to do some research for this. Yeah.
That's very cool. Nasco Healthcare has built a strong reputation in the industry. What sets your brand apart, and what is your mission when it comes to advancing training and preparedness?
Yeah, so I had my own POV on this, but I've had, the benefit in the last few months of engaging a lot with our customers and end users and really validating those thoughts around like, what is our reputation in the industry? What do you all think that we stand for and what's important? And really, it was very succinct and very well aligned in terms of what they all said, regardless of what space they were in. And it was, Nasco Healthcare is our one-stop shop. The breadth of offering, and it's true, 4,400 products and counting, makes us like uncomparable in the space. The fact that we have a 5-year warranty, the durability, the value, and the accessibility of the products are all something that really stands out. And then, being ISO 9001 certified and all of that great stuff, more important contributing factors. And something that they said, really stands apart in terms of who we are is the people behind Nasco Healthcare. The fact that they really genuinely care and they're great to do business with just sets us apart. And so I think those are some of the key things, and those are things that regardless of wherever we go in the future and transformation, we don't want to lose sight of our roots and what truly makes us different. And then inside of that, like what I'll say is the mission, and we start every single meeting pretty much at Nasco Healthcare with our mission and vision, just so we don't lose sight of it. And really it all comes down to wanting to help healthcare professionals be ready to save lives and improve patient outcomes. So if what we're about to talk about in a meeting doesn't meet that need or doesn't impact that, then we make the difficult decision that this is not for us, right? Like we're always focused on that, and I think that's really unique.
Oh, that's really cool to hear how you all stay grounded in your mission and incorporate that into everything you do. That's really cool. Thank you. So WorldPoint and Nasco have been partners for years. How has our collaboration evolved, and what do you value the most about working together?
I'll say honestly, being here right now with you all is like just proof in itself of how that relationship has evolved, right? The fact that we're now here for 2 days to do hands-on training, interaction, be together, be a support, figure out how to better work together and collaborate, I think just speaks volumes about the partnership and how it has expanded and grown. And so, we're super grateful to have partners that are so intertwined and like collaborative with our vision and wanting to do well together. And so I'd say that's one of the biggest things about the relationship that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. It's amazing to hear the story behind Nasco Healthcare and how your mission drives everything that you do, as we said earlier. With that said, can you introduce us to innovations like Alex Gen AI, the new auscultation trainer, and Airway Larry, and how they meet the evolving needs of trainers and learners?
For sure. Alex has actually been around for around 8 years, but the generative AI part of Alex is like truly revolutionary. The thing is that from being around for 8 years, the advantage that it has is that it's been collecting data that whole time. So unlike other tools that utilize AI in some capacity, ours is really focused specifically on the medical space. And it uses AI in a bunch of different fashions that truly change the game. So for instance, we launched Alex Gen AI back in January at IMSH, and since then we've added like 10 new languages because of its generative AI capabilities. And so that's one thing that we're all really excited about, especially from a global perspective. Because it is so highly focused and trained and not ChatGPT based, the latency, the context, the nuanced communication are just unparalleled. It's the most similar to a real patient interaction. And we use AI and Alex Gen AI for also creating the scenarios and for the feedback and assessment. So, for instance, the instructor can sit there and, in real time update the scenario and change different settings. And the AI component of Alex Gen AI is actually tracking and logging everything that the learner's done. So we don't have to have the instructor doing that anymore. And at the end of the interaction, they can download the log and they have, assessed what's been done and what hasn't been done. So, those are some of the things about Alex Gen AI. The new auscultation trainer is really an evolution of the previous auscultation trainer. So still all the great things that folks came to love with some new LED landmarks that are really cool, more realistic heart, lung, and bowel sounds. And one of the features that we're getting really great feedback on is the fact that you can upload your own sounds as well. So you can customize the auscultation trainer. Yeah, and it comes with or without the iPad. So if you already have an iPad, you just have to download the app. You don't have to purchase another separate controller tablet. I can just imagine some folks have to have a lot of those, and
Absolutely.
It's not super helpful. Yeah, and then Airway Larry is just like such a staple in terms of airway management. I was sharing with the team, I just spent a whole weekend at an airway conference, learned a ton myself, and really got to see how healthcare professionals use Airway Larry. So it's still the same great, durable, realistic product, and now it's just been refreshed to be a bit more in line with current standards and have a more realistic look and feel.
Oh, thank you. That is very, very informative. That's perfect. Thank you. Nasco Healthcare's product lineup includes industry staples like the Stat Mannequin Danny and Casualty Care Rescue Randy. Can you walk us through the development of one of these flagship products and what makes it so essential for training?
Yeah, so this is why I have my phone with me actually, because I phoned a friend about this one. I have my own bias in terms of my favorite products, but I knew one of our sales reps, Shay, really, really loves the Smart Stat Complete. And so I asked her, why is the Smart Stat Complete your favorite product? And she said, because it's the bomb. No, seriously. And then she went in to explain, what that means to her. And her background is actually as a paramedic. So she really knows from experience, has used these products. And now, because she was so in love with what Nasco Healthcare does, she's joined our team. So we're lucky to have her. What she said is, the fingernails and lips are very realistic and you can look at hypoxia there. It is also available for pericardiocentesis. It has CO2 canisters that you can use for real end tidal CO2 monitoring and capnography. Seriously, it's the best. It has pulses that you can change independently of one another to mimic different diseases in circulation. Auscultation, injection, IV, IO. She goes, I'd like to add some more IO sites. We can talk about that soon. Also, urinary bladder catheters and chest tubes, surgical airways. No, seriously, it's the best.
That No, what a review. That's fantastic. Those products sound like just game changers, especially with advancements like Alex Gen AI and the updated Airway Larry trainer. Speaking of innovation, I'd love to get your perspective on some of the trends shaping the CPR, healthcare, and emergency response training industry today.
Yeah, so I mean, there's certain things that are really buzzwords, obviously, that we know are transforming the industry, like AI, AR, VR, all of those things. And to the extent that those really have an impact on learners, I think that they're really important and they shape our industry, especially when it comes to things like real-time feedback, right? So what's super important in simulation is that not only are learners getting comfortable in repetition and practice, but that they're doing good repetition and practice, right? So that real-time feedback is critical to making sure they're developing those skills the way that they want to use them in real life, right? So I think to that extent, it's really important. And using technology helps us create more customized, personalized learning that's competency-based and, can track the learner across their continuum of learning. And so I think to that extent, it's really important.
No, thank you. I completely agree that real-time feedback makes all the difference. From nursing skill trainers to high-tech AI-driven solutions, Nasco continues to push the boundaries of training. What trends do you see shaping CPR, healthcare, and emergency response training in the coming years?
Yeah, I would say honestly all the things that I just mentioned really are sort of the trends that we see. There's also some important elements of not losing sight of the haptic feedback while we focus sort of on those technological solutions, right? Because at the end of the day, we're treating real life patients, right? And that's not in sort of a simulated technology focus, that's real patients. And so the haptic feedback is really important to not lose sight of.
Oh, fantastic, thank you. Artificial intelligence is transforming healthcare training. How is Nasco Healthcare incorporating AI, particularly with Alex Gen AI, to enhance realism, decision making, and learner outcomes?
Yeah, so I mean, that one is such a natural fit, right? So Alex Gen AI, as I was mentioning, uses, a multitude of AIs. It's not just for the conversational piece. It's also in the scenario creation. So, legacy Alex users will know it was a bit difficult to create those scenarios previously. Now we're integrating AI so that creating those scenarios is easier than ever, right? And it can be really context and nuance. So for instance, today we got to see how that looks in real life, where you can make Alex confused, or you can make Alex angry or intoxicated or any of those things. And that's just a cue that we use AI to help us implement in real time. The fact that while they're running through a scenario, the instructor can utilize feedback and real-time updates that are reflected in Alex immediately. I think one of the important things, while a lot of ChatGPT has come a really long way, there's still latency and some hallucinations. And because Alex has been medically trained for the last 8 years, the generative AI just truly is a game changer and helps learners really feel like they're interacting with a patient and prepare them for those real patient interactions.
Oh, thank you so much. To just kind of get a closer look at how you all are using AI, and it's an invaluable tool, and just so great to hear a little bit more about how you all are incorporating it in your products. So thank you. As we look ahead, I'm curious what's next for Nasco Healthcare, and where do you see the industry heading over the next decade?
Yeah, so I mean, we're very focused on customized, personalized, competency-based learning, right? And that's not just in, high technology solutions. We really believe in doing that, from the ground up, foundational learning. And you'll see the starting points of that coming together with products like auscultation. We're launching a new BP arm, and Terry and a next gen Danny very soon. And those will all be incorporated into a unified platform, so that you'll be able to track learner performance all in one place. And so we're really trying to streamline that and make the learnings more efficient and effective.
Oh, thank you so much. For instructors and organizations looking to improve their training programs, what advice would you give on how to maximize the impact of Nasco Healthcare products?
Yeah, so what I would do is kind of flip that question almost. And what I like to do is understand what the gaps and needs are that they have in their learning, and then help them understand how we can be a part of that solution for them, right? And so sometimes a problem that they have might seem really complex, and they think that they need something really high tech to meet that need. But in reality, what the learners need is cues and then, task-based training, right? So there's a lot of ways that we can solve those problems, but I really like to understand first what the problem is and what the gap is that they have, and then come to them with a right-sized solution for that without overly complicating it.
Oh, I completely agree. Helping, better understanding the customer's problems helps us to understand what their needs really are. So that's always a fantastic place to start. Thank you. The future sounds exciting, especially with Nasco's focus on cutting-edge training solutions. Before we wrap up, let's lighten things up a little bit. What's one fun or surprising fact about Nasco Healthcare or your team that that most people might not know?
So our team is very spread out globally, and when I joined the team officially full-time last year, I was really surprised to learn that a lot of the team had never met each other all in person before, like all in one big gathering. And we had this big distributor training in Istanbul, and we got together, 120 of our distributors from around the world and a large number of our Nasco Healthcare team. And although they were meeting for the first time, a lot of these folks, it didn't feel like that. They had this camaraderie and, team-based mentality that it was shocking to hear that they had never actually met each other in real life before, because they had such strong relationships. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I could really speak to the fact that the leadership and management style at Nasco Healthcare is really team-based and focused on the individuals, and so I think that really comes through, and that's why the team camaraderie is there, even though they've never met each other before.
No, that's cool. I think that speaks volumes about your culture as a company and your communication. But still great that you all got to meet in person all together finally. I'm sure that was really, really wonderful. Well, Aeron, this has been such a great conversation. Huge thank you to Aeron and the Nasco Healthcare team for joining us today. From their rich history and mission to their latest innovations like AI-powered Alex Gen AI in the new auscultation trainer, it's clear that Nasco continues to lead the way in delivering world-class training solutions. At WorldPoint, we're proud to partner with Nasco Healthcare to support trainers and educators with the best tools in the industry, because better training means better outcomes and more lives saved. So thanks for joining us for this edition of our Vendor Spotlight series. Stay tuned for more conversations with the industry's top innovators, and as always, keep training, keep learning, and keep making a difference.